the politics of fragmentation between 84 and 2014 over 30 years is now transforming itself into a much more stable political system, into a dominant political system, because Ranchengappa, the economy in the last 2 years was seen as a concern. It still is. When you look at numbers, 25% still say unemployment number one, 22% say price rise. Inflation for the last 2 quarters, except for the last couple of months, has been well above what the RBI would have ideally liked. We know people are losing jobs. The numbers do suggest that. But none of that seems to be translating into unpopularity of the government. At the same time, on some of the more polarizing issues like the hijab controversy, like love jihad, it almost seems that the government or the BJP's narrative is getting more and more acceptance. Make sense of that. It seems almost that I may have lost my job. I may be worried about prices. But, I don't think that Mr. Modi is doing such a bad job. And I actually appreciate the BJP's ideological agenda almost.
No, but Rajdeep, that's not what the data says. Not bad job. They actually think he's doing a very good job.
That's right. 67%. You see, voting preferences are being disconnected from my state, possibly of economic health. And that shows that maybe I have trust in the leader. That at the end of the day, that things will get better at some stage. So it seems a lot about leadership and creditworthiness of the leadership.
No, there's a lot of right what you said, but I would just be a little cautious. One, do these numbers, which we can discuss later, really reflect the kind of popularity jump that they've gone? Do the numbers proportionately jump in that? That's the first point to prove this thing that there is a disconnect between the two. I don't think so. I think there is an issue, if you take a look at the successes which we listed, okay? We talked of COVID as being one of his best successes. There's also in that same thing, COVID is one of his failures as well. The government, the Modi government. Now, this was ephemeral. It will disappear by next year if COVID does not trouble the country, right? People will say, okay, that's an issue that's done and dusted and over with. Then you take a look at the other issues. Article 370, diminishing interest. If you see what we tracked in the beginning, it was 25% saying it was a success. Now it's down to about 14-15%. So also if you take a look at the building of the Ram Temple. In the Ram Temple's case, you might see a bump because 2024, if the construction is ready, that's going to have an impact on, say, an emotional connect. And the core voter of the BJP, the Hindutva voter, 20 to 25%, whatever it is, will back the party fully because it feels its agenda has been taken care of. Article 370, building of the Ram Temple. But even in Jammu and Kashmir, unless they hold the elections this year, that is receding from center stage. Now you take a look at the failures that have been pointed out. 54%, apart from prices and inflation, if you take a look at economic growth and you take a look at demonetization, close to 54% of the people polled said that economy was the biggest failure of the government. You cannot argue with this. What you are seeing right now, I believe, and I might be wrong, is that because the last 2 years have been so terrible and the bounce back has been good, you are seeing a kind of a feel-good thing coming back into the economy. But when you ask them questions about later, about, you pointed out on the polarization issue, I think there's a limit to that.
Okay, there is a limit to polarization, but where I was coming from, Rahul, and I think Rahul Verma made the point, satisfaction level is 67%. Even though 54% are worried about issues like unemployment and prices. So I may be worried about unemployment, I may be worried about prices, but I'm still satisfied with the government. It almost seems as if I'm separating my personal sense of dissatisfaction with my life with my satisfaction levels with the government.
No, so it's Modi hai to mumkin hai. The fact that they believe that he's the man who can get the job done. Yes, there are problems, but he's the best man to sort them out.
And not just in the center, but in the states. Manisha Priyam, you want to make sense of these numbers for us at the very outset, because it seems that despite the real concerns that exist on the ground, and they're real, unemployment is a real problem. The fact is that people still seem more satisfied today with the Modi government than they were even 4 or 5 months ago.
So that's the real success of Mr. Narendra Modi. He is seen by even those who do not vote for him as an effective leader who's running India very well and is steering India onto a global stage. Now, Mr. Modi has been able to build that persona of himself where people don't believe that he is the cause of unemployment or he is the cause of price rise. And I think Mr. Modi, rather than this one-party dominant system, what is the real explanation is that he's turned himself into what is called the Vikas Purush. And Mumbai, a couple of days ago, when he visited for an inaugural, a big inaugural, had huge hoardings which called him the Vikas Purush. Now, no regional party or no regional sentiments would actually contest that image of his. And the point really is that that portrayal of regional leaders that started in the early 1990s after liberalization, privatization, globalization, when Chandrababu Naidu was the CEO in the arena of democracy, Mr. Modi has been able to build it on a pan-India scale. Remember, things like Tamil Samagam, bringing train loads or airplane loads of Tamil devotees to Kashi, may not give him the electoral dividends in Tamil Nadu, but it's exposed a large section of the Tamil population to stories about how he's rebuilt the Kashi Vishwanath. So even where he does not have the voter base, even when there is a strong regional identity and social justice politics that's being played out in Tamil Nadu, you can see the governor is at a row with the chief minister. But if you go and ask people nationally who's the person running the country well, the answer will be Narendra Modi.
We're presidential. We're presidential at the end of the day.
Remember one thing.
Distancing the problems as not his own.